Let me take you back to the swinging 60s, when Britain was shedding its stiff upper lip reputation and embracing something a little cheekier. At the heart of this cultural shift was a film series that defined saucy, naughty but nice comedy for an entire generation, Carry On. But what made these films so irresistibly funny and culturally iconic? Was it just the endless innuendo, the slapstick, or was there some secret formula at work, one that turned everyday British life into a carnival of chaos and double entendres? Well, let's find out, shall we? Now, imagine this. You're watching a scene where a stern headmistress, played by Hattie Jakes, is lecturing a room full of unruly students. But the students aren't listening because Sid James is across the room making lewd gestures with a cucumber. Meanwhile, Barbara Windsor struts in, all innocence and short skirts, triggering Kenneth Williams to throw out one of his trademark
Matron!
You're laughing, sure, but why? It's not just the gags, it's the alchemy of it all. The Carry On films perfected what I like to call the naughty symphony of comedy. At the heart of this symphony is innuendo, and oh, did they know how to use it. Unlike today's more explicit humour, Carry On thrived on the art of suggestion. A phrase like, "Would you like me to give it a polish, sir?" could sound completely innocent or not, depending on how it was delivered. And trust me, with Sid James or Joan Sims delivering it, it was never innocent. This wasn't just lowbrow humour though. It was a high-wire act of language, timing, and a shared cultural wink between the filmmakers and the audience. But innuendo was just the start. Let's not forget the slapstick, the glue that held these films together. From Barbara Windsor's bikini top famously flying off in Carry On Camping, to Kenneth Williams falling onto Elkie Summers' bed in Carry On, behind the physical comedy in these films was pure chaos. It wasn't about subtlety, it was about timing and exaggeration. You knew the pratfall was coming, but that didn't make it any less hilarious. Then there were the characters. Carry On didn't just cast actors, it created archetypes. Kenneth Williams' pompous know-it-all, Sid James's lovable rogue, Barbara Windsor's cheeky girl next door. These weren't just roles, they were brands. You could walk into any Carry On film and immediately know who was going to cause trouble, who was going to get flustered, and who was going to be the butt of the joke, literally, in many cases. And let's not ignore the timing of these films. Britain in the 1950s and 60s was a country still shaking off post-war austerity. People wanted to laugh, to escape, to carry on. The films became a cheeky release valve for a society that was still grappling with taboos around sex, class, and authority. They took familiar settings, holiday camps, hospitals, schools, and turned them into playgrounds for mischief. A matron wasn't just a matron, she was a target for flirtation and chaos. A classroom wasn't just a classroom, it was a battlefield of slapstick and tension. Of course, not everyone loved the Carry On films. Critics often dismissed them as cheap, smutty, or just plain silly. And okay, they were cheap, made on budgets that probably wouldn't cover craft services on a modern blockbuster, but that was part of their charm. These films were scrappy, inventive, and unapologetically fun. They weren't trying to win Oscars, they were trying to make you laugh, and they succeeded. What's fascinating is how the humour still holds up. Well, most of it. Sure, some jokes feel dated or cringeworthy now, but many of the themes are timeless. The battle of the sexes, the ridiculousness of authority, the awkwardness of romance. There's a reason we still quote lines like,
"Infamy! Infamy! They've all got it in for me!"
It's comedy gold. So, what was the secret formula behind the Carry On films? It's actually pretty simple. Innuendo, slapstick, and unforgettable characters served with a generous helping of British irreverence. They didn't take themselves too seriously, and neither should we. After all, comedy is about finding joy in the absurd, and nobody did that better than the cast and crew of Carry On. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm off to polish my teapot. What? What did you think I was going to say? Ooh, you lot. You've all got filthy minds.